Good morning, and welcome to the Legacy Changemaker broadcast. We are here together to celebrate, connect, and further inspire changemakers who are taking action towards a more peaceful, prosperous, hopeful, and people and planet-centered world. If you want to know more about us, do visit our website. But before we start, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. This is going to be a 30-minute conversation with somebody very special. If you have questions, do not hesitate to put them in the comments, and we will make sure this very special person is going to answer them. And of course, if you want to follow the inspiration, do like our YouTube channel. Follow the inspiration? Yes, follow the inspiration. This is the process through which we select our speakers. In fact, we don't select them at all. It is our change makers who tell us who has inspired them. So if you remember, last Friday we spoke with Katie Barton. And Katie Barton is a co-founder of a platform that helps businesses tackle the gentle balance between human and nature. And Katie has been inspired by Christin. So Christin is going to be our guest today. Let's see what Katie says about Christin. She says, and I'm quoting, "Christin captivated me with her compassion, her life's purpose, dedication, kindness, and commitment. On both a personal and a professional level, she has inspired me, guided me, and supported me. And she's an incredibly special individual who is not only an ambitious change maker herself, but is genuinely passionate about helping people with love and depth." Yes, helping people with love and depth. So, are you wondering who is Christin? Well, Christin ter Braak-Forstinger is the co-founder and the CEO of Chi Impact Capital, an independent and female-powered impact fund advisor. Based in Switzerland, she is passionate about proactively making the shift towards a regenerative and deep impact economy a reality. She has a long-lasting experience in the financial sector, impact investing, and sustainable investing. Among other things, she's a lecturer, keynote speaker, and an author. Her last book is Conscious Investing. And this is what is going to be our topic today, insights on conscious investing. Hello, Christin, do you hear me?
Hello, Biljana. Good morning. I can hear you perfectly.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for agreeing to be with us and to share a little bit of your inspiration with us. So, shall we get going?
Wonderful. Yes, let's get started. Fantastic.
Okay. So, tell us, what are you doing and why are you doing it, moreover?
Thank you, Biljana, for having me. I'm so honored and happy. And also thanks for Katie's wonderful words. She is honestly really also a true source of inspiration. I think, why am I doing what I'm doing? To state that for our listeners in very brief words, I think I can say I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm loving what I'm doing because I deeply believe that impact investments are a powerful tool to make that shift for the planet and for society a reality, basically. So they are a really powerful tool to solve the most burning issues of our time.
Great. And for those of us who don't really know, can you please explain a little bit what is impact investment and how is it different to traditional investments?
Yeah, absolutely. So impact investments are basically investments with an intention to create a positive social and or environmental return alongside a financial impact. So there are a few elements in it, Biljana. First of all, Let's start with the intention to create a social and or environmental return. That's a key criteria for impact investing, that intentionality, basically. We could go into the depth of the matter on that, but that's very important. And also what is very important is that impact on the social or environmental side needs to be measured. That's another very, very important thing. And then on the financial element side, it's also important to realize impact investments are investments, right? So this has nothing to do with philanthropy. These are investments with a return expectation. There, however, it's important to understand that the return can vary from, let's say, below market rate returns to risk-adjusted market rate returns. There are various different instruments out there, impact instruments, possibilities how to invest for impact in this basically, potential to create financial return. But there is not like this one product out there where you say, well, I make, you could, for example, invest. I'll give you a few examples. You could, for example, invest in a social impact bond or development impact bond where you might have, it's not a necessity, it's not, I mean, you could have there like a lower financial return, but a very high impact on the ground, for example, in developing countries. But on the other side, you could also invest, for example, in a venture private equity fund that also is able to create a deep impact next to really attractive financial returns. So it always depends also what an investor is really looking for, what he needs for his portfolio diversification, exactly. But summarizing, its intentionality on social and or environmental return, plus a financial return expectation and measurability. That's very important.
Okay, and I really wonder, what is a venture capitalist, and how is an impact investor different from a venture capitalist? And actually, can you be both at the same time?
Yes, you can. You can actually be both at the same time. That's definitely possible. We are basically doing that as when we are advising the impact fund that we have launched. I could also share a lot of insights on that, but to be short on your question, yes, you can absolutely be an impact venture fund when you fulfill those criteria, when you measure the impact, of course, when you have that intentionality written down in your fund prospectus. But also, on the other hand, there are traditional VC investors out there who, for example, invest alongside an impact investor in a round of a financial company. That's also possible.
Beautiful. And I understood from our previous conversations, and of course from the title of your book, that what the change you are bringing about is the conscious investing. Can you please tell us a little bit and share with us some insights? What is conscious investing actually?
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Yeah, that's a topic I absolutely love. I think when you generally, I would love to share something. I think considering the connected whole in general works to our advantage, both in private life as well as in business life. As a conscious investor, you are putting on, let's say, systemic goggles. You look at things systemically. You really look at the long-term implications of things. As a conscious investor, you really want to help solve things by the root cause, right? So you don't want to only invest in symptoms, you really want to go in deep and solve root causes. So summarizing conscious investing, and one could share many, many more things on that. I've written a whole book, as you've kindly mentioned, on that topic. But I think summarizing conscious investing is both a state of personal awareness as well as a form of impactful investing. Conscious investors are system thinkers. They see really things on a large scale. They really see that their investment decisions are interconnected, have long-term implications, and they actually want to proactively invest for a better planet that they want to have for themselves and for their children, right? They want to invest in solutions.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Very
Personal
actively.
consciousness. I
Yes.
love this. We have a question from one of our viewers, and I'm going to bring it up now.
Please.
Here it is, LL.M. Could you give examples of conscious investing in a developed country? We usually hear about it for developing countries.
Wonderful. I love that, Michaela. Thank you so much. Yes, so give you an example. This is exactly, so by the way, I don't know Michaela, and I love to get to know you, Michaela, but so this is exactly, for example, what we are doing here at G Impact Capital. We are investing in developed countries here in Europe, and we are a conscious investor. So basically, how do we do that? I mean, sharing the whole approach is probably too complex now, but what I would love to share is that when we invest, we are basically making an investment as an impact investor, definitely fulfilling all the criteria an impact investor has to fulfill, meaning that we measure the impact, for example, of course. But then that goes back now to your question, Michaela. We are in our impact value creation, basically in our collaboration, in our dialogue, right? After the investment, it already starts in the due diligence phase, pre-investment. But in the value creation phase, after the investment, we actually not only help the companies to measure and report their impact, but also to become more conscious as companies. And that should not sound esoterical, that's very fact-driven. That means, for example, that we look as an investor to help those companies to make their teams, make their boards more inclusive, more gender balanced, help them to make their value chains more transparent, more sustainable, more local when it's possible. All those things that make a company more conscious, help to implement long-term incentive structures, financial incentive structures, all those things, right? There's a movement, B Corp movement, maybe you've heard about that. Yeah, so we're checking out if maybe a B Corp registration could be interesting for those companies, and so on and so forth. We could talk much longer on that topic. Yeah.
The conversation continues with Michaela. She has a follow-up question, and her question is this measured through ESG's indicators, or is there more to it?
Yes, so I'm not exactly sure what you mean by ESG indicators, but I think, Michaela, you probably mean one of the, let's say, standard impact metrics that is out there. Yes, definitely we align to one with our own impact methodology based on the, I can openly share that, on the IRIS metrics of the GIN, of the Global Impact Investing Network. And yes, also we measure basically our achievement towards the SDGs, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the UN, yeah, on a direct and on an indirect level next to the impact measurement. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much. I was wondering, you said you could be both. You could be a venture capitalist and you could be an impact investor. Now, can you please share with our audience what was the turning point for you?
You mean to make the shift towards impact investing?
That's right, to make the shift.
Okay. Yeah, I think my personal turning point, I come from the, let's say, traditional financial field, from private equity, from fund structuring. My personal turning point was definitely a trip that I made to North Ghana in 2008, where I co-founded a project with some wonderful ladies from Austria at that time. And I can say that project is still a very, very central part in my life, all on the private side. But I dare to say without that involvement in that project, I would probably not be doing what I'm doing today, because coming back from Ghana, seeds were planted in myself that I really want to combine those two worlds where you can do basically good on a general level, either for society or for planet, and combine it with my financial know-how, basically. And I could share much more on that. When I came back, I was involved. My boss at the time in a private bank said, well, Christine, you're just coming back from Ghana. We have that request from a family office. They want to structure to their fund also a social return. This had, of course, nothing to do at that time with Africa. But so this just landed on my desk by coincidence, and I totally loved it. And so I got into it, and yeah, I never got off from it again because, yeah, I loved it from the beginning. And basically that took me a little while to get that bravery together. But I think after, a while, I took, I really reflected what I want to be doing. And I founded my own company in the impact investing advisory field in
Beautiful.
2011.
Absolutely beautiful. Can you give us one or two examples of successful conscious investments before we go to the most important part that I hope our audience is expecting, your insights and tips and tricks on conscious investing? So the question is, a few examples of successful conscious investments.
Yes, I'm very happy to share a little bit from our investment pipeline. So I'm extremely happy that actually today, that's really a coincidence, but we've worked very hard for it over the last 8 to 10 weeks. Really, really intense. So we're closing a Swiss-based, our first Swiss-based investment today. It's an investment in an ETH spin-off in the green innovation field. It's extremely cool company, a wonderful complementary team. I don't want to share too much insights on that company now because I really want to sign everything first today, but we will be closing today. And it's a wonderful company where we will help them to measure the impact over time. We will be starting with that a few weeks after the closing now. And also we have agreed in writing on a long-term collaboration throughout the time of our investment to helping this company to also become more conscious, what I've shared before. I think also, for example, another company where we have invested in February was a company in Germany, active in the circular economy environment. They are providing sustainable packaging solutions, smart sustainable packaging solutions for takeaway food to fight basically the single-use plastic. What I would love to share is that those companies are very, very open, right, to bringing us on board as an impact investor and to collaborating with us. We said actually throughout an eye-level dialogue throughout the time of our investment, to become more conscious also as companies. So we have defined that value creation approach in very much depth and very much detail, and this also goes into our valuation, how we evaluate the companies. There we also have an integrated view, combining financial elements and impact elements. So that's I could share a lot, but probably this goes beyond our time.
Yes, let's move on.
Basically, what I maybe is summarizing your question, Biljana, what we are doing basically, we are investing in transformative companies, not in startups, but mid-late venture type of companies that help to solve the most burning issues of our time. We have looked very carefully into that. What are those burning issues? We've done very careful research and analysis based on a study of the Bertelsmann Foundation in connection with the SDGs. But this is the sweet spot where we are working basically.
Big congratulations. I'm loving what I'm hearing. Of
it's
course.
Also not, in the beginning, I think there's also something that I would love to share in the end. I think if you also do something what really fulfills you, what really, where I think I can really speak for our team that everybody in our team is totally committed to make that shift towards a regenerative economy a reality. But also on the other hand, one must realize at the beginning, this is not very glamorous. This is just a lot of work. But on the other hand, it's cool because every day when I'm getting up, I realize, okay, we need to do something, right? And so this keeps me going and makes me
Yes.
confident we're on the right track. Let's say
Yes,
so.
let's give our audience a little bit of some tips and tricks, some practical insights on how can they become conscious investors.
I think this starts, really on a personal level. It starts with your personal, also decisions in private life. What you're buying, with like on a personal level, but also on an investment level. I think it's important to really go to your bank to really challenge your relationship manager. It must not really be a private banker. You can even start small, and we can also discuss that, right? That right now, currently, also from a regulatory perspective, when you want to do real impact investing through, for example, a fund or through direct investments, let's say through a fund, then you are immediately, when you do a real impact investment, then you are very, very quickly on the private equity side, where you, from a regulatory perspective, have to have a certain amount of money to invest. So this is usually restricted to people, let's say, who just have a little bit more money to invest. On the other hand, this should not exclude you at all to maybe talk to your bank, talk to your financial institution, and start, let's say, for example, maybe not with like a deep impact investment at the very beginning, but maybe you just get started at all. You just try to walk the talk, to become active, to make, for example, first green investment. Even if it's not really an impact investment yet, then maybe start with a green investment, a listed fund where you can also invest, let's say, a small portion, right? Or maybe you engage in some crowdfunding activities that, I don't know, a young, innovative, transformative startup is doing. So even with some, with just a little bit of money, you can already create impact. And I think that's important.
We have a question from Olesia, and thank you for being with us, Olesia. I'm going to bring it up. Here it is. Do you have any prioritized areas for potential investments? What are they? Healthcare, space exploration, agriculture?
So, Olesia, thanks so much for your question. So, from our perspective, yes, we have some prioritized areas. We call those areas impact verticals, because we have clearly analyzed what are those burning issues in Europe. Those, because I spoke before, we invest in those companies that help solve our fund is called the Burning Issues Impact Fund, that help to solve the burning issues in Europe. So, from that perspective, we've carefully analyzed which are those critical issues of our time. But otherwise, generally, when you start for yourself, the range is massive, the range is broad. So there are all those different areas out there from, different sectors, different areas. So, so there is a vast opportunity of potential investments.
And in this vast opportunity, our audience might get lost. So if you are to offer them a suggestion, in which area should they turn? How should they choose their area of investment?
That's a very good question. So I think, Biljana, what's very important, you could view this question from two angles. You could say, well, what are the areas with, let's say, the largest growth potential, right? And they are definitely everything in terms of green innovation, smart cities. These are kind of, or the smart energy movement. Those are mega trends where you're very much on the safe side. On the other hand, what I find very important is also to reflect what are your personal values and to ideally align, your investment to your values. So meaning when you're really interested, for example, in whatever, saving trees, saving the rainforests, or in biodiversity, then look more in those areas in the green innovation field. Yeah, what could be interesting for you in those areas, for example, or somebody is really into education in developing countries. It depends.
Beautiful. I love this. It's so practical. It is. And of course, it comes back to the consciousness. Reflect and align your investments to your values.
Yeah.
This gives me goosebumps. Thank you so much. And we have a LinkedIn user. Thank you so much for your comment. So, what are the downsides? What have you not managed yet?
Challenges what I've not managed yet. I think what I've not managed yet is yeah, please, Biljana.
Sorry, there is a question from our
Yes,
user.
please.
How can you spot greenwashing initiatives and greenwashing investments? That's a big thing. Can you please talk to that?
Yes, I think that's very important, and we only have a few minutes left. I love this question because there is so much greenwashing, impact washing, rainbow washing, as you know, the 17 SDGs going on right now. So everybody is jumping on the bandwagon, basically, of impact investing, and many, I must honestly say that I've written many articles about that. I've spoken I was actually very outspoken about that in public on panels. Just yesterday, I've released something where I talked about that topic too. So impact washing is really a big problem right now in the market. And so that is the reason why it's so important when, for example, you're buying an impact fund, for example, then you really need to check, does that fund, for example, measure the impact? Are they really clear about the intention that they want to create on a social and or environmental level? So impact washing right now really is a danger for the further integrity and scale of this young impact investing sector. That only has developed basically over the last 10 years. And so what the sector needs in very short terms are clearer guidelines, are clearer standards basically for intermediaries. And I think it's also important as an intermediary, so for example as a fund manager, to right now, because there are not such standards right now out there, so that you yourself, put yourself voluntarily under certain standards. For example, I give you an example. We tie our fund carry, which is the performance fee, voluntarily. Normally you tie it to a financial hurdle. We do that too. But in addition to that, we also tie it fully, so basically for 100% to the achievement of positive impact outcomes, meaning when we do not achieve our impact goals, we will also not get any performance fee, and not many funds do that yet. So
Beautiful.
This brings more integrity.
Okay, we have one last question because we are running out of time from Aishna Shah. She asks, how can you get students to become more involved in impact investing?
Also wonderful question. Yeah, I think on one hand, I would love that universities also take that up. I mean, I'm a long-time university lecturer, but I have the feeling this is still like there are only a few courses out there. I mean, let's say the topic of sustainable and impact investing should be an integral part today of every, let's say, business administration study, for example, and also many other studies. So it's on one hand the whole educational side, also then yourself become active. There's, for example, a global impact investing network that provides many interesting summaries, easy to read. And then I think, as I said before, right now it's a little bit a regulatory challenge that you have to have a bigger portfolio, let's say, so to really do a private equity impact investment from a financial perspective. You need some flexibility there, but I think, and this is very, very important also for the further scale, and I'm very much in favor of that over the next few years, this will be more, how should I say, accessible also for, let's say, not retail investors, which is right now not possible from a regulatory perspective, but that's very important. And then there the whole tokenization becomes very important. But so we are over time. So
beautiful, beautiful. Here is a call to action. Let's join hands and make it accessible together. A little bit of and now my last question. Who has inspired you, Christine? Who are we going to talk to next Friday?
Yes, one of the persons who really has inspired me from the very beginning is my dear friend Sarah, whom I have met for the first time in 2008. And I must say Sarah is a real go-getter. She is not only full of love and compassion, but she is also brave enough to really step forward and dare to follow her dreams on a personal, on a business level. So I would love to recommend Sarah for the next change maker.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes. So next time, indeed, we are going to have Sarah. And Sarah is going to talk about, our chat with Sarah will be about change is permanent and resistance is normal. So if you want to discover how to work with resistance, and of course, if you want to meet inspirational Sarah, please do join us next Friday. This is all from us. Thank you so much, Christine. It has been a wonderful conversation. Let's make this happen. Let's make deep impact investment consciously. Thank you again. Have a lovely week, Christine. Have a lovely week, everybody. Thank you for joining us and see you next Friday.
Thank you, everybody.